Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Really glad to have partnered with the Smart Nation team for this webinar. I'm Will. I'm from the FinLab. We are part of UOB, and really glad to be able to continue our series. If you have joined us before, welcome again. Growing our continue our series on growing our business digitally, right? And today we are on topic of payments. I know it talks, so we are going to talk about the future of e-payments. I don't think anyone can predict the future, especially in these uncertain times. But at least we can maybe just share a little bit more of how actually things have progressed, how many people have gone digital, talking about cashless payments, e-payments. And we're again really glad to have Nets to be our partner. Nets have been a very close partner of UOB and the FinLab, and they'll be here to share more. But before that, I would just like to introduce Sean Tan. He's a program director, just to share a bit more about the FinLab and what we do. So over to you, Sean, for a quick introduction.
Thanks, Will and Emmeline. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Sean, program director at the FinLab and the UOB. So I'd like to thank Smart Nation team for putting this together with FinLab to run this program for everyone. So without further ado, maybe I can give a brief introduction of who FinLab is and what we do. Next slide. So FinLab, we are part of UOB when we are founded in 2015. We are the UOB Innovation Accelerator that we started 2 rounds of FinTech Startup Accelerator in 2016. In 2018, we have moved on to match the tech solution provider in the market to SMEs. So we run programs and initiatives to help the SME digitalize their business to better their day-to-day efficiency as well as their outreach to the wider audience. So now we are present in Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, where UOB had our FinLab footprints in these 3 countries. In 2021, last year, we have launched leveraging on our ecosystem and network, we have launched our Sustainability Innovation Program. Putting together our accelerator model, we wanted to help SME to understand how can their business be green and sustainable in the long run. Next slide. So how FinLab run our business transformation program is over these 3 key pillars, which is learn, match, and implement. So we provide a win-win platform for both the businesses as well as the tech solution. So for the businesses, they can be exposed to the curated solution that FinLab has brought forth, which cover the area of like on the right hand side, you can see in the area of the HR accounting, digital commerce, payments, customer service, as well as the digital marketing aspect of things. For the tech solution, they can leverage on the FinLab platform to outreach to a wider audience, be it in Singapore or in the region. Okay, next. So since 2015 until now, we have touched more than 5,500 SMEs that has gone through our program in the 3 countries, and we have helped the Malaysian SME with a survey that is done that we have helped Malaysian SME to increase their productivity by 30%, as well as the Thai company to improve their sales growth by 15% in a year. And through our programs, more than 1,200 SMEs have actually adopted solutions across the 3 countries. If you can see on the photo on the right hand side, these are the showcase day that we have ran. That was, of course, before the COVID period. And below are some of the names that we have helped in terms of the SMEs that has adopted the digital solution. Okay, the last slide that I'm going to share will be on our Sustainability Innovation Program that we ran last year, as I mentioned earlier. So despite a COVID year, we had a very good turnout in terms of more than 700 has registered, and out of 700, more than 400 are actually SMEs. And we have matched close to 100 SMEs to the tech solution, the green tech solutions that we have featured. So on our sustainability program, it hovers around the 3 key pillars, which is to educate, evaluate, and execute. And these are some of the partners that we have featured in our sustainability program last year. Okay, so in short, FinLab, we basically help SME to go digital as well as to go green. So, and today I would like to thank our partner in Nets to share more about the payment solution. It will be a very interesting sharing which can impact both the individual as well as the SMEs. So I look forward to the presentation of the NETs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, really looking forward as well. If would like to know more about the FinLab, you can always visit us at our website. It's www.finlab.com, and you'll be able to really discover how we can help SMEs and how we can transform your business. Okay, without further ado, let's move on to the presentations for today. Again, glad to have Nets. And today, Nets will be actually sharing two solutions. So we have two speakers. We have Xiao Chao Wei from Nets, and we also have Jane Tay later. And just to give a quick introduction to them and their background. So Chao Wei has had a rich digital payment background dating all the way back to 1995, when he was responsible for the creation of the first online e-commerce store in Singapore, and also the first online e-ticketing system for the Singapore Arts Festival. And over the past 8 years, he has devoted himself to product development, and he really has a lot of experience in payments, and it spans across ecosystems, across solutions and consumer products. And he has also contributed to the Hawkers Go Digital initiative, right? And of course, right now, presently, Chao Wei is serving as the head of consumer products in Nets. And just to move on to Jane as well. So she also has many years of experience, close to 10 years, and she has experience across banking, consulting, and fintech. And she has led cross-functional teams across 17 markets. She's really very passionate about digital transformation. And currently she's heading the product development of NetsClick, right? Which is the Nets in-app payment. So NetsClick will be presented by Jane. And before that, we'll have Chao Wei, back to the previous slide, to share about Nets Prepaid, right? So again, really glad to have Chao Wei, who is Senior Vice President at Nets, to share this morning. Hi, Chao Wei, morning.
Good morning, Will. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, we'll just switch to your slides in the meantime in a second. And again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. There's a Q&A function, and we'll pick up the questions later, okay, after the sharing. All right, I think we can see your slides.
Right, thank you. Yeah, so today we have prepared two products to introduce to everyone. One product aimed at consumers, which is a Nets prepaid card. And it's a product that we have recently introduced in the market since only December last year. And my colleague Jane will be talking more about NetsClick, which will appeal a lot more to the corporates for using Nets for online payments. Right, so let's begin with the first slide. Right, just kind of set a backdrop before we move on the two topics on Nets prepaid card and NetsClick, just to kind of set the stage on what is the current market payment acquiring disruption that we have experienced in the last few years. And I'm pretty sure even as I talk through this, many of you attending this webinar will agree with me that you have first-hand experience on some of these payment changes in the landscape that you have pretty much also benefited from. Right, so the first aspect of how we have have changed greatly in our payment landscape would be QR payments, right? So QR payments initially were more, in the early days were more on P2P solution. But with the introduction of the various QR payment, and then more back in 2017, 2018, when SGQR was introduced, it really helped to accelerate the pace for payments to retailers using QR code, right? With special mention also on Pay Now, which you can pay via QR, via mobile number, via corporate UEN. And this particular payment mode has grown rapidly. A special mention would be like Pay Now, that have grown more than 6 million transactions per month, replacing a huge percentage of what previously were check payments, right? So that is an area that really has made a change in our payment landscape. And I'm sure many of you, instead of writing checks these days, are using alternative methods of making payments, right? The other area would be the new digital bank entrance, right? And you will see more and more payment options, competitive pricing that will be introduced to the market. So we will definitely experience more of this in the months to come. The other aspect that is worth mentioning is the new Payment Services Act that was passed in January 2019. And with this governance, or rather Payment Services Act, that helps to kind of give clarity on the framework for financial institutions, for payment companies to be in net. So it actually helped to, in a way, accelerate the pace of more entrants coming in to be payment acquirers, offering various type of payment solutions to businesses as well as to consumers in Singapore. Last but not least, the effect, the ripple effect of COVID-19 really has helped to propel digital payments throughout the entire industry, right? The need to reduce face-to-face or contact between payee and payer help to increase the volume of digital payments, especially QR payments that you see out in the market these days. So that's kind of an intro slide in terms of our payment landscape to kind of help set the backdrop for us. Move on to the next slide. So before we talk about Nets prepaid card, I just want to kind of make a quick refresher for most. I'm pretty sure most of you are exposed to using prepaid cards, debit cards, or credit cards, right? So consumers are largely attracted to credit payments because, hey, it's money that you don't have now. You're using money, future funds to consume a particular service or product. And more so, now with the concept of buy now, pay later, it kind of extends the concept of the credit options for both for the consumers. But for credit card payments, largely users are also drawn towards it because also of the kind of rewards that you get from credit payments. However, the debit and prepaid payment modes are still very, very important. And taking the consideration that consumer look holistically at their needs, right? Whether it's convenience, speed, security, and rewards, but they look at other factors like what I've listed down here at the bottom. The consideration to use debit or prepaid cards, to have that high level of trust and security when performing a transaction, right? Do not want to worry whether there are credit interests associated to credit fees, right? And thirdly, certainty over the amount that is deducted in real time, right? And last but not least, from a financial prudency standpoint, the ability to monitor, track, control expenses, which is really very important, especially for newer generation of consumers. It's so easy to forget, the sweat and blood that needs to be poured in to obtain the cash. In the past, we see the physical cash and we can feel it, we can smell it, we can touch it, right? But now these days, you see a lot less of the cash. Everything is digital, and it's easy to forget, how precious money is. You can't live without money, right? So that financial prudency and the education behind it is important, particularly for the newer generation of spenders, right? So then can I move on to the next slide? So then here is where I'll introduce more about the Nets prepaid card and the Nets app. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so a quick introduction on the Nets prepaid card. Now, Nets is a brand name or company that I'm pretty sure all of you know, and we have been around since 1985. And we operated for the last 37 years as primarily as a debit scheme, right? Where the NETS card that is issued to you by your bank allows you to make payments that are deducted directly from your bank account. So that's a debit card, right? We are not like Visa or Master card that are international schemes, right? We are a Singapore local scheme, right? And we, unlike the Visa and Master, we do not offer credit schemes or credit terms, right? And that's the role that we choose to continue to play, and that is to continue to offer primarily debit and prepaid options for our consumers, right? Now, one way to understand the NETS prepaid card is to borrow the understanding that you already have of Visa and Master, right? So, you know, if you are a merchant and if you accept a Visa card payment, right, you are not fixated or nor are you concerned about whether it is a Visa credit, Visa debit, or Visa prepaid, right? Or you are concerned about that it is a Visa card and it can be accepted on your payment terminal, right? Similarly, in the introduction of NETS prepaid card, NETS prepaid is a NETS card, right? The only difference here is that it is not linked to a bank account. It is not, you do not require a 6-digit PIN, right? But it is linked to a prepaid wallet, right? So that essentially is an easy way, a quick way to understand what NETS prepaid is, in that it is a NETS card, except that it is not a debit card, but a prepaid card, right? And when if you do have this card and you do intend to spend using this card, what you'll be looking out for will be the NETS acceptance detail per your NETS card, right, to make payments, right? So, you know, this card for a start will be issued only by NETS, as opposed to a card that's being issued by the local banks, right? And this, I am personally very excited about this card because, you know, with the introduction of this card, there is no other prepaid card that can talk about, you know, the wide acceptance point in terms of transit acceptance as well as retail acceptance island-wide, right? No registration is required, right? And it's the only card that you truly need for your daily dining, shopping, and transport needs, right? So that's just an introduction, quick introduction of what the NETS prepaid card is. The next slide, please. Very quick value proposition on and reason as to why you would use this card. As I mentioned just a second ago, it is the card with the widest acceptance. Anywhere that accept your NETS bank ATM card is also accepted. You know, NETS prepaid card is also accepted. And over and above that, you know, you can take that for MRT, you can take that for bus, use MRT and bus to take this. Altogether 120,000 acceptance point island-wide, right? There's this immense ease of topping up, right? You do not need any top-up machines. All you need is just your mobile phone, right? Any mobile phone or even just a browser to be able to top up to the NETS prepaid card, right? The third reason why you would want to have this card is that on managing expenses, which is, you know, goes into the financial prudency aspect of what this card offers. And this is also one thing that I will be spending most time sharing in the subsequent slides, right? Setting spending limits, monitoring your transaction, set configuration for your auto top up, lock the card in the event that you think that the card is misplaced or compromised, right? Initiate refund via the app, right? So lots of conveniences empowered, you know, given to the consumer. Last but not least, the ability to use this card as a broadly accepted gift card, right? So, you know, if you intend to give a loved one a gift and, you know, allow the recipient to spend anywhere they want, then this would be truly an ideal gift card. All right, we will move on. So coming to the audience, right? The first audience that we want to address would be families with foreign domestic helpers, right? quite common. Most employers of foreign domestic helpers would give cash to the helper to make trips to the grocery shop to make purchases, small purchases, right? And for accountability wise, for accountability sake, what many employers will do is to look at the receipt and look at the change given back to the employer, right? So it's a very cash intensive and onerous process especially for the helper at home. I have to handle the cash. I don't want to be suspected of pilferage. I have to make sure that I don't lose the change, etc. Right? And then the receipt has to prove that I truly spent the money correctly for the employer. But with the introduction of the NETS prepaid card, right, all this hassle is in the past, right? Give the prepaid card to your helper, right? Set the spending limit, decide how you want and when you want to top up, right? So there is no handling of cash involved, right? And if you wish, of course, you can continue to see the receipt at the end of the day, but the accountability of it is so much simplified compared to how one would execute the same task of asking the domestic helper to make some purchases at the convenience store, right? So this is one very compelling proposition that we think will be very useful for new generation, or even those that have been hiring domestic helpers for years. Do the switch. Switch to this new payment mode to have a better, improved lifestyle for yourself as well as for your domestic helper. Right. Next slide. Yeah. So the second target audience from a financial prudency point of view would be targeting the tweens, the teenagers, and even tertiary students, right? Pocket money can be topped up or allocated via the app to your dependent, right? And again, the same type of functionality via the app to monitor the expenses, to perform auto top up real time, to set limits or to lock the card is also available. And for teenagers who wants to have a funky, cool, personalized card, services are also available, right? To custom print the card that you provide to the teenager, right? So again, again, on this topic of financial prudency, works really well with teenagers. The next slide. Senior parents. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are in a somewhat similar situation as I am. My mother has the initial stages of dementia, right? So, and should she ever be in a situation where to enjoy her freedom to make purchases, right? What more to kind of safeguard and protect the seniors, right? With a card where you can monitor closely, and also to ensure that you have that safeguard, that even should the card be lost or be spent before you could lock it, right? There's only that mitigated amount that is lost at the end of the day, right? So again, a very useful card to be given to seniors that are under your care, right? To ensure that funds that are protected, and that there's some way of ensuring that at the same time the seniors are able to freely use the card, given that NETS has got 120,000 acceptance points island-wide, including buses and MRTs, right? So that kind of covers the three target audience for consumers, and really we my vision and my goal is to really make a difference for the community, to provide products that improves the lifestyle of our community, particularly those that are the dependents, those that are underprivileged, those that require special care and help. I think the NETS prepaid card really helps to address those segment of users. right? But of course, if you want to use it for yourself as a working adult, absolutely so, right? To manage your own expenses as well. Next. Right. So the companion app is the Nets app, right? Where like I already briefly mentioned the functionality, and I won't like go through all of them, but essentially the key topic here is that you can manage your card using the Nets app, right? And that's very key, in monitoring the expenses, controlling the spend, and then protecting yourself as well as your loved ones using the app should an incident arise, whether it's to do an emergency increase of the funds or to block the card, right? So with that, I think we move on to the next slide. It's just if you're keen, this is my last slide. If you're keen to obtain this card is available at all Transit Link ticket office. It is also available in our Nets customer service center. You can also go to our website. There is a link in our website that links to a reseller that can actually customize the card print for you as well. Right. So with that, I conclude my segment on the Nets prepaid card. And there will be Q&A later, right? If you have any questions on this product. And with this, I will also introduce you to my colleague, Jane. Will has already given an introduction, right? Who will then be covering the next topic, which is on NetsClick. Will?
Thanks, Charlie. Hi everyone, I'm Jane. So today I'll be talking about this net solution called NetsClick, which is actually Nets net payment. On the next slide. So I think everyone is very familiar with using Nets at the Nets terminal or using the Nets card at the offline retail shops or F&B outlets. But Nets, as we all know now, as what Charlie explained during COVID times, where a lot of all these businesses are moving online. So with Nets, we do have an online solution, which is called NetsClick. There is an in-app payment method that allows consumers to digitize the Nets bank card in the merchant's mobile app. So this will allow the merchants to tap on this large active user base in Singapore who has a Nets bank card from one of the three local banks, which is the DBS, POSB, UOB, or OCBC. And moving on to the next slide. So why NetsClick? So NetsClick is, as I mentioned, it's a hassle-free payment. Customers can make in-app payments conveniently in just one click without having to fill in the full card details or logging into the bank accounts. And it's easy to start. So for merchant, with just a simple integration to our NetsClick SDK on the business mobile app, the customers can start using the Nets bank card on the mobile app itself. And more importantly, it's safe and secure. So with the recent scams and all the recent incidents on fraud, so definitely the consumers and I'm sure the merchants are also very concerned on doing online payments. So our NetsClick solution is definitely safe and secure. We use transaction cryptogram and transaction signing using single-use key, and we also have post-fraud transaction monitoring. So all these will ensure that the customer's data is protected. The tokenization and the card details are never shared and reviewed, and it remains private.
Hey Jane, sorry, I just interrupt you. I think you're a bit soft, so maybe you could just come a bit closer to the mic. Yeah, and it'll be better. Yeah, if not, it's then hopefully can be a bit clearer. Thank you. Yeah.
Is this better?
Slightly. Maybe you can just speak up a bit also. Yeah.
Sure. Is this
yeah.
better?
Yeah. Better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. So how can NetsClick, benefit your business? So I think two key points is it will definitely help to increase in your sales conversion, as it will help to address this addressable market of those without credit cards. And also our Nets bank cards, we hold locally almost 50% of the retail transactions. And as compared to credit card schemes, we definitely have a very competitive MDR, and this will definitely lead to significant cost saving on the business side. Move on to the next slide. And just to also highlight, some of the value-added features that comes with the NetsClick solution itself. And these features, they actually come with the solution, without any additional cost. And first one is we actually allow real-time refund. And this feature will actually allow the merchants to trigger refund requests via API. And this refund, once it's been triggered and it meets the business rule, the refund will actually be done in real time back to the consumer debit account. And the next feature that we have is the dispute management portal. And this portal is a self-service portal that digitize the whole dispute management process, to improve the efficiency, to track, follow up, and close dispute cases. And this, will allow the merchant to be able to focus on their business itself, and as these disputes will all be managed efficiently on the portal. And the last feature we have is that we will be able to allow to check the funds. And this is to allow merchants to do a real-time balance check on customers' account before allowing the consumer to initiate the purchase flow. So this is to allow, a better customer experience on the app itself, where we do a funds check before, allowing the customer to, start to add items into their cart. I move on to the next slide. So how does NextClick work? So it's really just 3 simple steps. So first, the consumer will just need to add the Next card as a new payment mode on the app. And then step 2, once they've added the card, they just need to select NextClick as the preferred payment mode on the app, and then they can start using it. I will have a more illustration on the user experience later on. So, but just at a high level, this is how the consumer can start using NextClick on the merchant app. Okay, moving on. So just to share some of the key milestones that NextClick has achieved since we launched it in 2019. So we have 2 key merchants that are currently using NextClick, which is the ComfortDelGro and the Singtel Prepaid High app. And this NextClick solution, we have also won a couple of awards, in terms of the best customer experience in the debit card and also in the fintech in terms of technology excellence. So this also proved that, this solution that we have launched is, indeed helping merchants, and it has a very good customer experience that, you will help the customer to be able to add their card conveniently and start making payments online. Okay, moving on. So this is, like I mentioned, one of our key merchants using this NextClick solution, which is Comfort. So as you can see, the registration of the card is just via their managed payment within the app, and then the consumer will just need to input their last 4 digits of their Nets Bank card, and also their IC number, and then the verification is the OTP from the bank. And then once that is done, the card will have been tokenized on the ComfortDelGro app. And once the rider book the ride, they just need to select NextClick as the payment mode during the ride booking, and then they can proceed to book the ride. So and the card will just need to be added just for one time for subsequent rides. So they can use it for any subsequent rides later on. They do not need to add the card again. So you can see it's a very convenient and easy experience for the customer. Okay, move on to the next use case, which is the Singtel Prepaid High app. So the experience is similar, where the customer will need to tokenize their bank card on the Prepaid High app. And the fields are the same, where is the last 4 digits of the bank card and the IC number, followed by the OTP verification. And then subsequently, they can proceed to top up their prepaid high card. Yeah, move on to the next use case we have. So this is a merchant that we recently launched using this NextClick. It's a car park app. So it's called our car.sg. So some of you may be familiar. It's currently being used in a couple of car parks like the Heeren Shopping Mall, 18 Trade Hub, and also Tan Tock Seng Hospital. So we are also gradually opening up more car parks to make use of this NextClick solution. So this you can make use of this app to make payment for the hourly parking and also season parking renewal, and using the Nets Bank card as the payment mode. Okay, I move on. So just to also share some of the results that we have seen, using our NextClick solution, we have seen that there's a much stronger user retention as compared to using the offline products like using the NetsPin. And this also proved that NextClick, because of its convenience and user experience, the product stickiness is much more than the offline products. And this also means that the consumers are indeed coming back to use back this same payment mode for their purchase online. Okay, yeah. So, and just just to end off, if you are new to NextClick, these are some of the apps out there that are already using this solution. You can try out and just see the experience, how it works. And we have this solution across quite a few different sectors and industries here. As you can see, we have bike hailing, we have Comfort Delpro. In grocery, we have Pick and Go, and in the F&B, we have the Milksha bubble tea, and also the food delivery app Hungry. And of course, we have more to come. So any further questions, we will take it in the Q&A later on. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.